All right, welcome back. So now we would like to separate this so it's a little more manageable. So I'm going to go to View, Show File Browser, and the first thing I'm going to do is within my theme I'm going to create a new file, and this one is going to be called header.php, and I'm going to create another one called footer.php. All right, so let's go into index.php and separate this out. We know our header comes down to right here. So everyone kind of has their preference the way they include. I don't like to go below the header when including. So I'm just going to grab this up to the very top, cut it out, go into header.php, paste it in. Now we need to include it. And WordPress offers just kind of a simple, quicker way to include it by doing get header. So if I save that and I come back to Firefox and I refresh the page, nothing has changed. And that is because it's doing what it should. It's literally, this function means go to header.php. Note that it must be called header.php. It can't be called top.php. So it goes into this header.php, grabs that, and literally places it right up here. All right. So the next step we can do is clean this up. So I can take this main section and, well, actually, let's take her footer first. We have the end of the footer, so I'm going to grab from here, from the beginning of the footer. You're free to do it whichever method you prefer. I'm going to paste that one in and save it. Come back to index.php, and now I'm going to type php get footer. All right, so let's come to the top, and let's do this. Grab all this, and we're going to negative indent it. It doesn't want to let me negative indent. Let's turn off wrap lines, and then let's see if it allows me to do that. No, why are you not letting me back up? It's letting me go forward. All right, well, that's really strange. Usually you can press command bracket to negative indent, and I'm assuming one of the other programs is screwing around with that. So sorry about that. But that's no big deal. If we scroll down, we've now added our footer and we've added our header, and I'm just going to bring that up to keep it consistent. So if I go back to Firefox and I refresh the page, nothing has changed, but we have now designated that we have separate pages for our footer and our header. So what I'd like to do next is we're going to start working on our search form. Now don't worry, I know this looks a little strange, but we'll edit our CSS to fix everything. Don't worry about that at all. So we need to get the search form. We need to add a submit button, and we also need to set it up so that when you type something in, it actually searches. So we can do that by creating a new page. So we're going to create it, and we're going to call it search form.php. Pay attention to the way I'm naming these. It's very important. So let's do form. We're going to add our form. Method. We're going to use the get method. ID, we're going to give it an ID of search form. An action, we'll do PHP, log info, URL. Okay. The action is going to be the home page, the main page. All right. And within here, we're going to add our two inputs. So the first one's going to be input, type equals text, name. We give it a name of S, an ID of S before. And the value, if we want to add a value to it, it can be whatever was typed in there. So we can do the search query, which is another WordPress function that we can use. It'll remember that when the page refreshes. All right, and let's close that out. The next input is going to be the submit button. So submit value, we'll just call it our search button, and I'm going to give it an ID as well so that I can style it. Search submit. All right. So there's our search form. Let's go back to header.php and find where we added this section right here. We had our search icon like so. So we can get rid of this input because we've already done it. And once again, I'm going to go back to View and hide File Browser. All right. And this time, we're just going to include that page. So we'll do include. There isn't a special function for this one. So we're going to include the template path, which returns the path of your current template. And we called it searchform.php, which is very important. All right, so let's go to Firefox, refresh the page. And it looks like we have a syntax error on search form on line 1. Let's see what we forgot. Form equals get, ID equals search form, PHP, there it is. Let's get rid of that extra H. All right, refresh the page. And now we still have our search form. Let's try searching for anything. See if anything happens. Now, not sure. Let's try something that's only specific. Let's type third. And now you can see it's already working. Can you believe it? We have a working search form. Now, WordPress is notorious for subpar search form. Hopefully that'll be fixed. But we searched for something and it returned that specific posting. Now, you notice there's nothing really here to give us the idea that we actually searched for something. We know we did, but we should probably give the user some kind of feedback to let them know. The way we do that is by creating a new page called search.php. But before we do that, I want to quickly go over this with you. We gave the form an ID of search form, and the important things here are that we gave the name an ID of S, a name a value of S, and an ID a value of S. That uses the get, if you see here at the very top, the get symbol to search for the database, and we search for the word third. All right, so that's how we do it. And most people, you have this, you copy it, and then when you start a new template, you just copy and paste that in. So let's create our new search page, search.php. So what we are going to do is essentially we're just going to, by the way, this secondary section, we will be modifying that heavily. And I almost feel like we should do that now before we continue on. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and let's work on our secondary section. Because when we add new pages, you are literally going to be copying and pasting a bunch. So if we copy this to our search form and then edit this, we'll need to then go into our search area and edit that as well. So let's make sure that we get index.php perfect. So to create a sidebar, as you might have guessed, we have footer, header. We have another page we can add called sidebar. Sidebar.php. All right, so let's go back to index and let's grab everything here. Cut that out, and go into sidebar and paste it in. Save that. Let's come back to index.php, and here we're going to do php get sidebar to include it. Refresh the page, and let's get rid of the search query. And now it's been included like we would have hoped. Go into sidebar, and first thing I want to do is, well, we'll come back to that. We really should change the ID from secondary to sidebar, but we'll get to that. Now, working with the sidebar requires a bit of effort, so I'm going to save that for the next lesson. See you then.